We'll start today's class on today's webinar on Ayurveda for endometriosis. So endometriosis is an emerging problem nowadays. So there are so many gynecological problems, which is more common because of the present day diet and lifestyle, and these are explained under the heading Yoni Vyapat. So yoni is the gynecological, all the reproductive organs come under yoni, and vyapat. Vyapat is the disorders. So gynecological disorders are explained under the heading yoni vyapat in Ayurveda. So how does yoni vyapat occur? So basically, it is explained as a bija dosha. So bija dosha means at the due to vata imbalance at the embryonic stage, there is impairment in the health of the ovum or the associated reproductive structures. Okay, like the uterus or the cervix or the vagina. So this is occurring because of the increase of vata at the embryonic development stage itself. So this is one thing. So, and secondly, during the growth or during the childhood, because of indulgence in improper diet, unhealthy diet, incompatible diet, untimely meals, and sedentary lifestyle, or too much doing excessive work or excessive exercise, staying awake at night, like vata aggravating factors, indulging in vata aggravating factors during the childhood and the adolescence period leads to compromised immunity. This we all know because the unhealthy diet and lifestyle are the cause of compromised immunity, which in turn, coupled with the vata disbalance in the embryonic stage, leads to yoni vyapat, different types of yoni vyapat. Here, why we are talking about vata imbalance? Because apana vata is a subtype of vata which is located in the pelvis, and mainly apana vata is vitiated in all types of gynecological problems because of the location and because of its function, reproductive function, and its other functions such as flow of menstruation, regulating the flow of menstruation. These things are commonly disturbed in all gynecological problems. That is why vata is given more importance in the treatment of female uterine problems. And secondly, we have to understand the physiology of menstruation. So menstruation is controlled by the two subtypes of vata, like I told, apana vata, and the second one is vyana vata. So Vyana Vata is the Vata which is responsible for circulation, especially circulation of the nutrients. So what happens is, like, when we consume food, the food is digested and the nutrients and the waste products are separated. These nutrients, these nutrients are in turn circulated to the different organs with the help of Vyana Vata. Hence, Vyana Vata is responsible for the nourishment of the different tissues, including the reproductive tissue. So that is why Apana Vata, here the compromised nutrition leads to compromised nourishment of the tissues. And secondly, because Vata is already aggravated, so this transportation is also hampered. So the nutrients are not able to be transported to the tissues to the tissues in a proper manner, because there is imbalance in the vata, high vata. Secondly, the apana vata, like I told you, it is present in it is controlling the functions of the pelvic region and helps in timely and proper bleeding during menstrual cycle. So in vata dosha increases in endometriosis, and hence what happens is, when vata increases and because of the inflammation in the different reproductive structures, this vata is is obstructed in its regular movement, and what happens is there is partial reverse flow in the srotas, in the menstruation channels, which leads to ectopic placement of this blood. So here we have to understand that Rasadhatu is the first tissue which is formed after the digestion of food, and while the rasadhatu is formed, there is a upadhatu of rasadhatu, that is subtissue. Subtissue of rasadhatu, or the first tissue, is the menstrual blood. So while this rasadhatu is getting formed, the menstrual blood is also getting formed properly. And subtissues are formed from tissues, but they do not perform any function. Hence, they have no, they are not compared to the tissue. You know, they are called as subtissue because they are formed from a tissue, but they don't have any specific function, or they cannot do a function on their own, just like the tissues or the organs do in our body. That is why they are called as upadhatu. And that is now you can link all this, you know, like I told you, the digestion of food, and then the first tissue formed is rasadhatu. But since vata is aggravated, the rasadhatu is not nourished properly, because vyana vata is responsible for circulating the nutrients, and hence when the rasadhatu is not nourished properly, then the uterine lining is also not nourished properly. The uterus lining is nothing but the artava dhatu. So every time the rasadhatu is getting nourished, the uterus lining is also getting nourished. And after 1 month, it starts shedding. So here, you know, since the vata is aggravated, the nutrition is not proper. So the quality of the artava dhatu, or the reproductive tissue, or the endometrial lining, is compromised. And secondly, as vata is already aggravated, it is, you know, its regular flow in the srotas, artava srotas, is obstructed, and hence this vata is partially, you know, flowing in the reverse direction. So when it is flows in the reverse direction, the artava dhatu, or the, you know, artava dhatu, or the menstrual blood, gets deposited in ectopic, in different regions of the uterus. This is called ectopic placement, and hence every time the rasadhatu gets nourished, this ectopic placement also gets nourished. So it's not in the endometrium, but it is in somewhere else. You know, not in the endometrial lining, but in different parts. It is getting nourished. These lesions, new lesions, keep developing and getting, you know, they start growing, leading to menstrual problems, including endometriosis. So for this, you know, little bit more, we have to see a little bit more in detail about the doshas and the menstrual cycle. It is important to understand the functions of the doshas and their role in the menstrual and ovulation cycle. So here, you know, kapha dosha is necessary for proper balance of kapha dosha is necessary for the lining of the uterus. So the uterine lining becomes thick and glandular. That is, the mucous membrane of the uterus becomes thick and glandular. This is due to the function of hormone estrogen. So kapha dosha is predominant during the ovulation period, we can say, which is around, like, you know, as soon as the menses stops, kapha dosha starts increasing, or you know, kapha dosha starts to play its function in the uterus until the ovulation, which is, like, you know, up to the 15th or 16th day, because of the influence of estrogen. This is like the modern, I'm explaining you simultaneously the modern science also for a better understanding. Basically, kapha is nourishing the uterus, increasing its, you know, thick and glandular lining during the ovulation period. And after this, there is action of pitta dosha. So pitta dosha is, as you know, pitta dosha is like increased heat, increased circulation, and transformation. So if there is conception, then the egg gets nourished. So the egg gets fertilized. If there is conception, the egg gets fertilized because of the, you know, progesterone hormone, and the chances of conception are more during this period. Otherwise, you know, if the egg is not fertilized, then in the third stage, when the vata is high, that is during the actual menstrual period, we can see that there is regular menstruation. This downward movement of the menstrual blood is mainly because of the vata dosha. So here it is also, you know, good to understand that we know that the chances of conception are more during the ovulation period, which is the kapha predominant phase, and then we can see commonly the premenstrual syndrome. Premenstrual syndrome, that is the symptoms, different symptoms experienced by different people, such as headache, burning sensation, pain, and all, just before the onset of menses. 1 week or 2 weeks before menses it starts. So this PMS can be correlated to the pitta imbalance. So we can see that the premenstrual syndrome occurs a week or 2 weeks before the menstrual phase. That is the Pitta dominant phase. Because of the fire element, this occurs because of the transformation, because of the increased circulation, increased blood flow, nourishment of the blood vessels. So this, and then the third one is the menstrual phase. So menstruation, actual menstruation is occurring because of the downward movement of Vata, specifically Apana Vata, and the quantity of menstruation depends upon the depends upon the health of the Vyana Vata. So if the Vyana Vata is functioning properly, and if we are taking a nutritious diet and following a good lifestyle, then the quantity of menstruation will be normal. But if it is scanty flow or excess flow, then there is imbalance of Vata dosha. Scanty flow is mainly because of imbalance of Vata and Kapha dosha, whereas increased flow, excess flow or menorrhagia, heavy bleeding is because of imbalance of Vata and Pitta dosha. Now, in a vitiator, what we just saw was during the functions of the doshas during a normal menstrual cycle. But if the doshas are vitiated, what happens? That is what we are going to understand. So, as we know, the different doshas have different properties. Vata dosha is mainly dry, light, mobile, and also rough. And also, basically, since Vata dosha is dry in nature, the increased dryness in the uterus will lead to inhibition of the sperm. So the sperm is not able to, enter into the uterus or get fertilized with the egg. So which means there will be problems with fertility if Vata dosha is increased. And secondly, increased dryness, roughness will lead to decreased egg quality. Egg indicates anabolism. So egg is anabolic. It is mainly like a kapha. And when vata increases, kapha nature decreases. Hence, there will be functional defect in the ovum, which is again leading to infertility. And vata dosha is specifically, causes different types of pain. So because vata dosha starts increasing, the dryness, the lightness, mobility, nature of vata will increase, and this will lead to different types of pain. Pitta dosha, if pitta dosha gets imbalanced, it leads to increased blood flow, which means it is causing inflammation. We can say increased blood flow, which causes inflammation, or hormonal imbalance can also occur because pitta is the fire element, and hormones are also like a chemical transformation, we can say. So pitta dosha is responsible for any chemical transformation in the body. So this pitta dosha imbalance will lead to hormonal imbalances. And then kapha dosha. Kapha dosha is the anabolic nature. So kapha dosha, the quality of kapha are unctuousness, heaviness, softness, sliminess. So these qualities, when they increase, it will lead to sticky, slimy menstruation, transparent menstruation, scanty flow of blood, irregularity in the cycle, irregularity in the bleeding, the number of days, and it also leads to different types of cysts and adhesions. So cyst formation in the uterus and the different adhesions and all are due to the increased kapha. So here, as I told you, endometriosis is primarily caused due to vata imbalance, but like in any other disease pathogenesis, any dosha can also cause the problem. I mean, primarily it is vata, but it can be associated with pitta or kapha. As we know, all the three doshas are interrelated and their functions depend upon each other. And vata is the controller of pitta and kapha. So when vata gets vitiated, slowly over the period of time, pitta dosha and kapha dosha also get vitiated if it is not taken care of, and if timely treatment is not provided. And hence, we can see features of different dosha vitiation in the later stages. So coming to the factors for conception, why this is also important to understand is because endometriosis mainly occurs during the reproductive age. And then it affects the person, there are physical problems, physiological problems, and psychological problems. So the social, the social status is affected, social life is affected, everyday life is affected because of the endometriosis. That could be pain, emotional problems, stress, anxiety, Also, there will be imbalance in the menstrual cycle and ovulation, leading to pain, burning sensation, discomfort, scanty or excess bleeding during menstruation, or dysfunctional uterine bleeding, that is irregular bleeding, frequent cycles or delayed cycles. Also, infertility issues occur. So it is difficult to carry out the everyday life activities since the physical and mental health is compromised. So that is why it is important to understand the different factors for conception, which are Ritu, Kshetra, Ambu, and Bija mentioned in Ayurveda. So Ritu is the proper season. So in Ritu, Ritu is the like it is like planting a seed. So when we want to grow a plant, we first procure healthy seeds, and then these healthy seeds are planted in the soil in the right season. So right soil and right season is necessary. So like neem is a tree which is native to India. You cannot grow it in the US, or it is not suitable. The climate is not suitable. The soil is not suitable. So that is why we have to choose a seed according to the soil. Quality is also important in the proper soil for the proper growth of the plant, and secondly in the right season. So we know that different seasonal fruits and vegetables, Ayurveda emphasizes on eating seasonal fruits and vegetables. This is because in different climatic conditions there is growth of different vegetables and fruits which have that potent nutritional value, we can say. So that is why it is important. The season is important. And then finally, nourishing substances. We have to do regular watering, also regular manure, and all is necessary for the proper growth of the plant. So in the same way, in the women, proper health of the uterus is very important, and in endometriosis that is compromised. The healthy uterus is compromised, and once the health of the uterus is compromised, then what happens? The ovulation is disturbed because of the hormonal imbalance. So this ovulation is nothing but the right season. So that is also getting affected because of the endometriosis. And thirdly, the seed. Like I told, in endometriosis in the beginning, we discussed that it is a genetic defect or a bija dosha. So in the uterine, the bija dosha means when the mother is carrying a child, a female child, and in that time, if there is vata imbalance, and this vata, if it gets lodged into the reproductive system of the embryo or the fetus, then later in life, there are chances of producing yoni vyapat, including endometriosis. So that is why the health during pregnancy is important. The diet and lifestyle during pregnancy affects the health of the fetus later in life. So proper seed is important. The health of that is the health of the lady who is going to conceive a child is important. The ovum health is also important. Ovum health is important for producing a healthy fetus. And then water, nourishing substances. So here nourishing substances can be the diet and lifestyle during the planning of conception, and even after conception, the diet and lifestyle we follow. That is the nourishing substances. So like one can affect the other. That is why it is important to treat the root cause. So causes of endometriosis. So since we saw, the different, causes of gynecological problems, the role of doshas in the menstrual cycle and all. Now we will come to the actual endometriosis, understanding actual endometriosis. So basically we saw that it is because of vata imbalance. So hence, first one is bija dosha, like I told, the genetic defect. Vata is responsible for cell division and differentiation, whereas kapha is responsible for the proper nourishment of the cell membrane, and pitta is responsible for the transformation. Okay, so or the death of the cells and formation of new cells, we can say. So here specifically vata controls cell division and differentiation, especially at the stage of embryonic development, and it is very much necessary for the placement and development of different organs and structures and transportation of nutrients. So these three things: cell division is a function of vata. Secondly, placement and development of all organs is because of vata, and thirdly, circulation of nutrients is also because of vata. So any anomaly or a problem at this stage, especially vata imbalance, leads to yoni vyapat later in the life of the fetus. So this is the first cause. And secondly, aharaja nidana, that is dietetic factor. The dietetic factors mainly the diet which increases vata dosha, such as drying, excess intake of dry food items. Dry food items are like raw salads, we can say raw nuts, and anything which is light to digest, like taking scanty food, less food, or fasting, or having long gap between meals. These things can lead to increase of vata dosha. And too much spicy food increases the dryness, it dehydrates the body, that is why it increases vata. And astringent and bitter food items in excess also leads to vata imbalance. So cold salad should not be taken excessively and not frequently. Also pulses, like sprouts and pulses should be well cooked. If they are not well cooked, if they are raw, or if they are only soaked, then also it increases vata. Cold food and drinks also increase vata. So and mainly irregular meals, so improper timing of meals also increase vata. So these are the dietetic factors. And secondly, thirdly, viharaja nidana. Vihara is the lifestyle. So lifestyle factors. Coming to lifestyle factors, again, vata aggravating lifestyle, such as doing too much physical activity, too much exercise, indulgence in too much sexual intercourse, driving or riding long distances, traveling frequently, staying awake late at night, and suppression of natural urges, especially that of urine and feces. So these things, because the suppression of natural urge to urinate and defecate, this leads to increase of apana vata, and that may lead to problems with the uterus and the gynecological genital organs. So that is why suppression of natural urges is also important, because natural urges, the word itself suggests it is natural. So the normal movement of vata in the natural urges will be obstructed. The vata will be obstructed in its regular movement because of the suppression, and hence this vata tends to move in the wrong direction or the reverse direction. So that is why it is important not to suppress the natural urges. And then fourth, the last causative factor is anya nidana, or other causative factors. So other causative factors is like trauma or injury to the genital organs, abnormalities in the ovum or menstruation carrying channels, that is arthavavaha strothis, or hormonal imbalances. So here hormonal imbalances, when we say hormonal imbalance, it nourishes the hormonal imbalance, basically nourishes the adhesions or the ectopic placement of the menstrual fluid, and it increases the endometriosis. And the trauma and the abnormality is acting in the opposite way, that is it impairs the nourishment, and it impairs the quality of the reproductive tissue. So that is why both are necessary. So it's like it is nourishing the endometriosis, and the other way it is actually undernourishing the ovum and the uterus. So hence leading to infertility and other problems. So what happens? What happens is in the pathogenesis, if we see the pathogenesis, it's like the indulgence in causative factors will lead to increase of vata dosha, which in turn leads to vitiation of the arthavadhatu or the reproductive tissue. This causes implantation of impaired reproductive tissue at various sites. Like I told you, it is like the Vyana Vata. The Vyana Vata is, sorry. So the Vyana Vata is affected, and hence it is undernourishing the uterus lining. It is not nourishing the Arthavadhatu properly, and leads to implantation of impaired tissue, Arthavadhatu, at different sites, extra endometrial sites, and this in turn leads to decreased nourishment of the endometrial lining, and hence there is immunodeficiency caused due to increased vata, leading to the growth of ectopic implants. So here Already the Artava Dhatu is placed at different sites, and there will be growth of formation of new lesions and growth of these lesions during the subsequent menstrual cycle, because first this is the action of Vata, I told you, and then the action of estrogen or the action of Kapha comes here in the growth of the ectopic implants. Because of impaired Vata or because of the vitiated Vata, the Artava Dhatu is impaired and it is placed at different sites, ectopic sites. And then these ectopic implantations grow because of the kapha phase. During the kapha phase, because of the kapha nature and the kapha function, these ectopic implants grow and they start developing in the subsequent cycles, ovulation and menstrual cycles. So here, since there is undernourishment of the reproductive tissue, it leads to infertility, and because Vata is aggravated, it leads to pain. So the symptoms of endometriosis are like Udavarta. The Udavarta is like, dysmenorrhea, painful menstrual cycle because of increased Vata in the menstrual carrying channels. And then Paripluta Yoni Vyapat. So Paripluta is like painful intercourse. This also occurs because of the dryness in the reproductive organs in the vagina. And then Vatala Yoni Vyapat or Vataja Shula. So this is like a chronic type of pain, severe pain, which may, it can occur even during the non-cycles. That is, the pain persists even without menstruation also. It is a constant pain during the menstrual cycle and even later also it continues, especially in the pelvic region, chronic inflammatory pain we can say. And then Antarmukhi Yoni Vyapat. So it is, Antarmukhi is like, what to say, the menstruation becomes scanty because it is starting to, nourish the ectopic placements. And then Rakta Yoni is menorrhagia. So this menorrhagia or increased heavy bleeding occurs because of the imbalance of Vata and Pitta dosha. Vandyatva is infertility. Infertility occurs mainly because of increased Vata and Kapha dosha. And the features of menstrual blood, the menstrual blood will be irregular. So it can be scanty or it can be increased. It varies during the different menstrual cycles. And there will be associated pain. Ruk is pain, and it will be pain is because of Vata, phenular and Tanu. So phenular is like frothy or frothy we can say, and thin, so or scanty, and it will be dry. So this is all because of the increased Vata. The color of the menstrual blood will be blackish or reddish in color. There will be associated symptoms such as different types of pain, mainly pricking type of pain, and then numbness, stiffness, feeling of ants crawling on the body, fatigue, and uterovaginal prolapse can also occur in chronic stages. Also, there will be pain in the groins and pelvic region. There are chances of associated imbalances, caused due to ovarian cyst or mass. The Ayurvedic management, coming to the Ayurvedic management, the Vata Anulomana, these are the Ayurvedic management. Basically, like I told you, it is mainly caused due to increased Vata. Hence, Vata dosha should be pacified, should be balanced. Vata dosha should be balanced. And like I told you, since Vata is moving in the reverse direction, its blockage, the obstruction to the movement of Vata should be removed. Hence, the Vata can start moving in the regular downward direction, thereby regulating the menstrual flow. Second one is Lekana Karma. Lekana Karma is like, medicines which will help, medicines or therapies which will help in scrapping out the excess kapha or excess dirt or adhesions and from the reproductive organs. And then Shroto Shodhana, like I told you, it's the obstruction in the menstrual carrying channels which is causing increase of Vata. Hence, they should be cleared by doing the other procedures such as Agni Deepana and Amapachana. First, the Agni should be corrected, and the elimination of endotoxins should be done with the help of herbs and Shodhana procedures. That is detoxification, Panchakarma procedures, which will help to cleanse the uterus, cleanse the reproductive organs, cleanse the srotas, that is channels carrying menstruation, thereby regulating the flow of vata and regulating menstruation. Shamana Chikitsa is specification therapies such as Shirodhara, because like I told you, endometriosis affects everyday life because of the pain, discomfort, fatigue, and all. Hence, this constant physical stress leads to increased mental stress such as anxiety, depression, and not wanting to do anything, a lack of enthusiasm. So for that, we have to take care of the mental part also by doing Shirodhara and Nasya, such other therapies, like regular massages will help in this condition. Also, palliative care or pacification herbs in the form of powders, tablets, liquid medicines can be administered. And ahara, that is dietary and lifestyle, vihara, lifestyle modifications are important, because after doing panchakarma and after taking the herbs, while taking the herbs, it is important to follow a specific diet and lifestyle modification for enhanced results, long lasting results, because the diet and lifestyle which will help to balance vata and other doshas is important in order to prevent recurrence of endometriosis. And Artava Dhatu. So improving the health of Artava Dhatu, that is through Rasayana and Vajikarana treatments. That is to improve the Dhatu nourishment, tissue nourishment, especially that of the reproductive tissue is important. So here we will discuss about the Agni Deepana and Namapachana. It is like Agni Deepana and Namapachana is by giving medicines, Ayurveda herbs such as Trikatu mainly. Trikatu is composed of 3 herbs, 3 pungent herbs. Ginger, long pepper and black pepper in equal quantity. This along with Avipatikar is beneficial for correcting the Agni and eliminating the toxins. So this is given for a period of 3 to 5 days based on the health needs and prakriti of the person. It is given with warm water, preferably before meals. Also, during the administration of this herbal formulation, it is important to take light to digest food items, such as soups, porridge, and avoid heavy to digest food items and deep fried oily food in order to correct the digestive fire. Secondly, after administering this, we can plan for Panchakarma. Panchakarma mainly Vamana, Virechana and Basti are suggested. Here, based on the vitiation of doshas, we have to choose the Panchakarma. If Vata associated with Kapha is aggravated, then we have to plan for Vamana, because Vamana therapy will help in removing the endotoxins and helping in balance of Kapha dosha. Whereas if Vata is associated with Pitta, then we have to plan for Virechana. Virechana will help in removing the endotoxins and restoring the balance of Pitta dosha and the Agni as well. Basti is very effective. Basti can be done for anybody suffering from endometriosis. This is because of the quick local action in the reproductive system. And as we all know, Basti is very good for balancing Vata dosha mainly, which is the main cause of endometriosis. And here, before doing the Panchakarma, Vamana or Virechana, it is important to do massage, that is Abhyanga, Svedana, and internal administration of medicated ghee. So medicated ghee, basically ghee is a substance which carries the herbs into the tissue destination proper. So here the targeted tissue is the reproductive tissue. Hence the medicated ghee we administer will be, the herbs in the medicated ghee will directly act on the reproductive tissue and it gets absorbed at the cellular level, mixed with the endotoxins and help in removing the endotoxins through Vamana or Virechana. So this medicated ghee is very important to be administered during for the management of endometriosis. And Abhyanga, the therapies Abhyanga and Svedana, how they act are like Abhyanga, as we know, improves circulation, the massage, the friction in the massage and the medicated oil used in the massage, warm oil used in the massage improves circulation and it strengthens the muscles and ligaments. Also, this when this friction which occurs during the massage increases the heat, therefore it removes the mechanical blockages leading to dosha balance. So hence regular massages are also beneficial. And Svedana is the therapy, steam therapy or the heat therapy, which actually helps to remove any blockages in the srotas. So when the blockages in the srotas are removed, Vata gets regulated. Also the menstrual flow gets regulated. And the steam itself, the heat itself is very good for balancing vata. So hence regular massages and Svedana procedures are effective in the management of endometriosis. And like I told, Shirodhara, Nasya are also beneficial because they help at the mental level. And then like as we know, the hormonal the pituitary gland controls the hormones. So hence hormonal function. So hence Nasya will be beneficial for regulating the hormonal function. And Basti Chikitsa. So basically, Basti Chikitsa is done for a period of minimum 8 days. It is called the Yoga Basti procedure, where medicated oil enema is administered on the first day, and then alternatively decoction or concoction enema is administered. In the concoction, we use decoction, herbal decoction. Specifically, Dashamul is effective in this condition, along with honey, salt, paste of herbs such as ginger, shatapushpa, and all, and then oil, medicated oil is also used. So concoction made from 5 different substances is used in this cleansing enema. So oil enema and cleansing enema are administered alternatively for a period of 8 days. And after this course, there is a specific basti known as Uttara Basti mentioned in Ayurveda. So this Uttara Basti is very good for it is very good for the reproductive system. It is administered just after menstruation, because after menstruation the Srotas blockage is generally less and the medicine absorption will be better. So this Uttara Basti is very good to balance Vata dosha. It is good to improve the egg quality. It helps in relieving pain, inflammation, infection, irregularity in menstrual cycle and all. It also has a cleansing effect on the uterus. This Uttara Basti procedure is done for 3 consecutive days after the menstrual cycle is over, and this is done for at least 3 to 6 months period. So 3 days every month for 3 to 6 months. So in the dietary modification, like we saw, Vata aggravating diet should be reduced. So Vata aggravating diet such as cold food should be reduced, dry food items should be reduced, salad should be reduced. Instead, the lady should take more oil and ghee in diet. She can also include seeds such as sesame seeds, flax seed in regular diet. Well cooked food is good. Freshly prepared meals are good. Fresh fruits and vegetables are good. Natural sweet tastes are good. And lifestyle is like, it is important to do exercise for improving one's health and for improving circulation, but avoid overdoing exercise. So limit according to one's capacity. Maybe 30 minutes to 40 minutes of exercise every day is suggested. Proper and timely sleep, that is going to bed before 11 p.m. and sleeping for at least 7 to 8 hours at night. Not staying awake late at night. Also doing everything slowly, at slow pace. Eating slowly, eating on time, working slowly, walking slowly, doing everything at slow pace, avoiding stress or increasing our stress tolerance, we can say, because it is not possible to avoid stress totally, but instead we have to improve our stress tolerance and be able to cope up with everyday work and everyday stress. So this is also suggested. Also yogasana mainly Paschimottanasana and Sarvangasana, that is the shoulder stand, and Paschimottanasana is sitting forward bend. So these things will help to improve the blood flow to the uterus, and it will help to strengthen the uterine muscles and ligaments, thereby helping in the management of endometriosis. Nourishing the Artavadhatu, that is the reproductive tissue, and rejuvenation or Rasayana is through herbs and therapies. Therapies like Basti therapy has Rasayana effect, Abhyanga has Rasayana effect. Also herbs such as Shatavari, medicated ghee such as Falagruth. So these have a Rasayana effect on the body, which will nourish the reproductive tissue. Sthanika Chikitsa, or the local therapies which are suggested are Yoni Prakshalna, that is vaginal douche. Washing the vagina using decoction of Triphala or neem, because Triphala and neem, these herbs have bitter taste and they have anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. So they help in relieving inflammation and pain. Yoni Pichu or vaginal tampon, where cotton or tampon dipped in lukewarm medicated oil such as Udumbara oil or Guduchiyadi oil is inserted into the vagina and left in place for at least 2 hours, or it can be left overnight also. So this is actually lubricating It reduces pain and it reduces vata dosha because of the oil. It counteracts the dryness. The oil is unctuous, which counteracts the dryness property of vata, and it is lubricating also. Hence, it counteracts the it is lubricating also, and it strengthens the muscles and ligaments. Yoni dupana or vaginal fumigation. So this is done by administering the smoke emitted by burning herbs such as gugulu, neem, etc. Because of the moisture and warmth of the herbs, it increases circulation in the pelvic region. It penetrates the vaginal mucosa, increases absorption into the cell membrane. Also, these herbs have anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial analgesic properties, and they are also healing. So these are the therapies which are beneficial. Also, like I told, the Uttara Basti, but Uttara Basti is more effective after the 8-day Basti, Yoga Basti course. Ayurveda herbal supplements. So there are different supplements here mentioned. The herbs mainly, the anti-inflammatory, analgesic, antimicrobial herbs are beneficial. Nirgundi is a herb which is regulating the menstrual cycle. Shatavari herb nourishes the uterus. Brahmi calms the mind. Punarnava and Gugulu, these are the herbs which help in cleansing the menstruation carrying channels. That is, Ardhava Vahasrotas will be cleansed by using herbs such as Gugulu, medicated Gugulu or Punarnava. Hence, Vata dosha will be regulated. Falagrut is improving the chances of fertility is improved by using Falagrut. Cloves are also fertility booster. Lavanga or cloves are fertility booster. Shilajit is a herb which purifies the reproductive organs. And Haridra and Manjishta, that is turmeric and Manjishta, they are blood purifying herbs and have antimicrobial property. In the form of tablets, medicated tablets such as Kanjanara Guglu, Trifla Guglu, Chandraprabha Vati, Kaishara Guglu, these are beneficial in healing. They are healing and scrapping out excess kapha and the endometriosis. Also, the fermented preparation, that is Asava Arishta, especially Dashmula Arishta, Ashoka Arishtam, and even Kumari Asavam are beneficial in regulating the menstrual flow. Medicated ghee such as Shatavari ghee and Falagrut are effective. So Patya, like I told you, Vata balancing diet and lifestyle, and yoga postures which have a positive effect on the uterus, also positive effect on the mind such as pranayama are beneficial. So if you have any queries, please you can ask me.